John Vincent's got a plan to lead, fighting for the things we need. Family strong, farmers stand tall. He's fighting for us all. Oh, catch the Vincent vibe.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm John Gregory Vincent, and I am running to be your congressman here in South Carolina District 7. I call it Grade 8 for the 8 counties. This is sort of the hub of the district. I mean, it's the center of a lot of things, including tourism. And tourism is sort of a mixed blessing. I mean, it's a wonderful thing because at the height of the season, it's vibrant, a lot of jobs, a lot of opportunities, but it's extremely seasonal. For the other 9 months, people struggle. Even when they're working here, they have to be brought in because they can't afford to live here. So when you're standing here, yeah, you're in the economic hub, if you will, of this entire district, but we're 20 miles away from rural. And the vast majority of this district is rural. And it's sort of the engine of why I'm running. I'm running because this district has not been represented well, ever, in my opinion. And that goes for Democrats, that goes for Republicans. It just has not been represented. We haven't really focused in on the working class. We haven't really focused in on the most vulnerable. We've talked all around it. We haven't really addressed a lot of the issues with the veterans. We just haven't focused on that. And we sure as heck haven't turned inward in our politics and looked at what's going on in the chaos in DC and said, how do we hold ourselves accountable first? So yes, I'm blessed to live here. And yes, it's a wonderful place to live. But I can tell you, when we lived in Florence and the areas around Florence and the areas around Myrtle Beach, once you head a little north here, without ever leaving Horry County, it's not like this. And that is what we really need to focus on as a community and what I want to go to DC for. We need a voice. And when I say we, I'm a middle-class guy. I'm born middle class. I've lived middle class. I'm probably going to die middle class. And I'm fortunate to be middle class. But the middle class, the working class, and our most vulnerable especially, have never had a voice. In a lot of ways, it just sort of feels like I've been preparing for this my whole life, even though I haven't been preparing or planning this for my whole life. And what I mean by that is, you know, it kind of starts from when I grew up. My parents, first generation Americans, their ancestors, if you will, all from the Portuguese islands of the Azores. And they grew up dirt poor. They grew up in Fall River, Massachusetts, was a mill town, and they actually grew up in the Great Depression. And that really formed who they were. And my father was the one who instilled the power of education, the power of hard work. And both my parents, you do what you believe. You stand up for what's right. And service, service, service. My father was a school teacher. I remember him being so focused on making sure that all of his kids went to college. His dad didn't read or read or write in English. And it was very important for him that his kids had the best education. He took a second job. He was a maitre d' in a restaurant. Because my dad, at the beginning of every school year, for all of his kids, 5 kids, he wrote a check. He wrote a check. He paid cash for their schooling, for my schooling. And he never made a lot of money as a public school teacher, so he did what he had to do. He did private tutoring in addition to the maitre d' job. I think in our family we have, if I include my parents, I think we probably have six bachelor's degrees, 7 master's degrees, and 3 PhDs. I have an MBA from University of Arkansas, and all of that is due to the foundation that my father set for us. So I saw that modeled, and I saw never complain modeled, and I saw what can you do about it modeled. Life of service, that led me to my military career. I didn't go into the military saying I'm going to serve 20 years, which is what I wound up serving. I went into the military because it just made sense to do something kind of bigger than myself. And I found a kindred spirit there in the submarine force. I found a bunch of folks from all over the place, and I learned that power of when you bring divergent people and divergent thoughts together, sort of the power that can bring. And my natural ability is to sort of take those divergent people and put them together in a way that they're actually more effective than they would be if they were apart. And that became my leadership style. My leadership style was essentially, you give me anyone. Give me the folks you don't even want, and I will form them into a unit that will outperform, because I understand the human dynamics. So I learned very early that my job was really to represent and help people develop. I don't believe it's my job to take care of people. I believe it's my job to help people take care of themselves. And that's always been my leadership model. And I did that for 20 years in the Navy, rose to E9, which is a senior enlisted rank. Then I was selected for the Command Master Chief program, which is as high as you can go. But the job never changed. My job was to represent enlisted sailors, soldiers, Marines, airmen, Coast Guardmen, and to help them develop to be the best that they can. I then started a company, and that company does exactly that. We develop leaders, we develop middle managers, we do executive coaching and things like that. My father had the benefit of the GI Bill. I had the benefit of veterans benefits. If we don't create that type of thing for our working families, then nobody has a chance to climb. And that is the essence of a working family, all right? You have to be able to afford the basics, right? But you also have to have an opportunity for school. You have to have an opportunity for housing that you can afford and maybe even buy a house. That's the core of working families. Now, let's take a look at government and the government chaos. The thing that I find most astonishing in government is the lack of personal accountability. In the military, if something goes wrong, you have to explain why you shouldn't be fired. In politics, it seems, regardless of your political party, all you have to do is find someone to blame. Unacceptable. People aren't deciding who their politician is. Politicians are deciding who votes for them. This is the chaos that exists in government that cannot continue to exist in government. So you have families, you have government. And now let's take a look at our veterans. I have to tell you personally, the most worn out expression that I've ever heard after my 20 years of service is thank you for your service. Politicians use you as a backdrop. Politicians use you as a talking point. But every day, 18 of my fellow veterans commit suicide. What are we doing about that? We talk about it, but we don't do the things we can. Just like in the other areas, we don't do the things that we can for people. We say we're going to. We say we're going to advocate, but at the end of the day, we don't. So this is what I'm going to do when I get there. All right. I am going to do everything I can to support working families, our most vulnerable, to support our veterans, and to drop this nuttiness and chaos and make us, elected officials, responsible for what we produce and stop blaming other people for what we're not producing. I can tell you exactly what I'm going to fight for because I just did. Families, veterans, and to stop this chaos and flip it on its head. That's what I'll fight for. Deb's not just my partner in life, but she's also my partner in service. It's kind of a package deal. It's Deb and John. It's not just John or not just Deb. And that partnership has meant the world to me in every way it possibly can. We thought about this long and hard and said, you know what? If not me, who? If not now, when? If you're ready to actually focus on the things that matter to the people here, food, right? Price of groceries, rent, utilities, healthcare and healthcare access. Those are the things I'm going to DC for. And that, I think, you find, hopefully, very different focus and a very different priority.
Oh, we've got the Vincent vibe. John Vincent for Congress. People over politics.